So tonight we are going to be going over a video where a guy claims to tell us or explain to us why atheists can't find God.
So please, if you're an atheist, stop running away from God. You know, that doesn't mean he doesn't exist just because you run away from him, all right?
Apparently, he's harder to find than Sasquatch, and he knows the reason why we just simply can't find him. My guess is that God is the hide-and-seek champion of the entire universe or reality or what in the fuck ever. He's obviously much better than the Sasquatch is, but we'll find out tonight exactly why atheists can't find God. If you're interested in this kind of dumb shit, then please stay tuned. What's up, heathens? How y'all doing? So this guy right here is going to be telling us exactly why atheists can't find God. Hopefully, he'll actually shed some light on why we can't fucking find God in this, world. It's a relatively short video, so we'll see how far we go.
Hello, friends. It's a beautiful day. I hope it's a beautiful day where you're at. If it's not, that's okay. If you follow Jesus, you're going to go to heaven where every day is beautiful for eternity.
How do you know this? Okay, and first of all, my day was actually pretty good. Up until the last little bit when I was supposed to grill burgers on my very awesome grill that I have, and then it rained on me, okay? It was like a monsoon. That's right, honey. It was like a monsoon. It was nearly a monsoon. Day was pretty good, but I also would like to know how you know that the days are always beautiful up in heaven. Obviously, I guess you could infer that from the fact that I guess it's supposed to be like just spectacularly good up in heaven. But as far as scripturally goes, the only thing that I can think of as far as a description of what heaven's like is you're constantly praying, or not praying, but praising God. And that's what heaven is. Constantly praising God. Think about Sundays at church, but 24/7 for eternity. Do you really want that? I mean, if you're Catholic, I would hope that you don't want that. I mean, some of these other churches are a bit more fun, like the ones where you get up and you dance and you act like a fool and you're just going crazy, like, ah! Maybe you're part of a Benny Hinn type congregation. And you see Benny Hinn up there hitting people with sports jackets and shit. Maybe you can like defend yourself with a sports jacket up in heaven. I don't fucking know. But I would love to know how you know that every single day is just fantastic, because it just sounds like there's a gymnasium up there that God sticks everybody in and you all sing praises to God 24/7 for the rest of eternity. I don't want that kind of future, and I would hope most people wouldn't really want that kind of future.
All right. So I want to share a quote from C.S. Lewis, and he says, "Atheists can't find God for the same reason a thief can't find the police." And there you have it.
Now, you see, I disagree with this because I've heard a story. A person had their weed stolen and then decided to call the police on the person that stole their weed. They are a criminal in one sense. So in some places, at that particular place, it was a crime to have weed or that particular thing. Yeah, it is very stupid.
Why is that? How come atheists can't find God? Same reason criminals can't find the cops. Because criminals aren't looking for cops. They're running away from the police.
Okay, see, listen, I got another objection to this whole idea that criminals run away from the police, okay? If you've watched any kind of behavior, like the behavioral unit type shows, they are TV shows, but they do have experts that work on the shows and everything like that. One of the things that has been known about like serial killers is that they are one of the first ones to insert themselves into the investigation. So they seek out the police, not to turn themselves in or anything, obviously, but they do seek out the police. True, there could be some people out there that just simply don't ever want to believe in God or don't want to find evidence of God or anything like that. Like sure, there could be people out there like that. This is an overgeneralization of the atheist community because atheists are genuinely looking for evidence. Just because all this guy has or other apologists apologists have is shitty evidence doesn't mean that we don't want the evidence. I see the evidence for God. It's right over there. But I am going to run this direction because I don't want no God. I hate God. Fuck him. I think is how that might turn out. But he's trying to insinuate here that we're not really wanting evidence of God, or we just ignore evidence of God, or we don't go looking for the evidence of God, and that's why we don't ever find God, which is bullshit. We're the only ones that are honestly trying to investigate this question. Atheists want evidence of God, because if there is a God, then that represents the truth of reality. And if there's anything that everybody should believe, it's in reality.
You know, and they wish the police didn't exist so they could commit crime without going to jail. And atheists are not looking for God. They're running away from God so they don't go to hell because they're afraid. As if running away from God means you're not going to go to hell.
For one thing, I'm not afraid of hell because that being afraid of hell requires me to believe in hell. Now, there have been some people that have the residual emotional effects of believing in hell and everything like that. It's not what I'm talking about. It's not that I'm running away from God because I don't want to go to hell or something like that. That's just fucking ridiculous. Like, if there were no cops to enforce the law, then are they really criminals? Like, I mean, that's essentially just somebody standing up, proclaiming some rules, and then not enforcing them, making them empty rules. Like, I could stand on the roof of my house and be like, everybody owes me $5 every day. And if I don't have someone to go out there and shake down the neighbors, then, you know, is it really like a law or anything? Like, are you a criminal? Are you really a criminal if you don't abide by it? So if there were no police, then there would be no crime. All right. So I guess maybe that's what he's trying to say, is that atheists don't want a God to exist because then there would be no sin. I mean, we already don't believe in sin, so it seems kind of fruitless, you know, for us to want there not to be a God. I mean, if there was a God, I would at least want to know that there was a God. Just like if there's somebody that's a criminal, they would want to know where the police is and that there are police, or that there is some kind of governing system out there that's going to hold them accountable for the transgressions that they commit against the society. Like, they would want to know these things. And I want to know these things. So I don't know. This guy's just really confusing.
Right? So you could run away from the police if you're a criminal all you want, but you'll eventually be caught. You know, we got cameras everywhere. We see you. Stop stealing. Stop murdering and raping. You're going to jail. You're probably going to get the death penalty.
Jesus Christ, what kind of criminals is he talking about? Like, he jumps around from like stealing stuff to like murdering and graping people. But in any case, he's acting like God is as real as the police. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but we have empirical evidence that the police exists. I mean, we have whole systems of justice that include a policing element. Quote unquote justice. So I guess I just don't understand why you're comparing the police to God when we have evidence of the police. You can observe the police. Can we observe God? And don't give me a look at the trees type of argument, because it's a bullshit argument. I'm talking about real empirical evidence of God as like some kind of cosmic or transcendental police force. We don't have that. That doesn't exist. We don't have evidence of that. You don't see God walking along with Jesus and the Holy Spirit in the streets, you know, looking for people to catch because they were sinning. It's like, oh shit, Jerry over there looked at that girl's ass, might as well cut his eyes out. Like, we don't see God walking down the streets doing that. If anything, God would instruct somebody to do that for him. But we don't even see that happening. I mean, there's the police force, but they don't cut out your eyes right there on the sidewalk. I don't understand why you're treating God like he has empirical and verifiable evidence like the police force. God doesn't do shit to stop any quote-unquote crime or sin. God doesn't do any of that. Like, he doesn't come down and beat somebody's ass. Like, if anybody should have their ass beat, it's the Catholic Church. He should definitely come down and be like, that is not what I fucking meant, bitch. And, like, been done with the Catholic Church. He was slapping the Pope or whoever in the fuck controls all that shit.
And, you know, some atheists, they say, yeah, we did look for God, but we couldn't find him. No, you didn't. No, you didn't. I was atheist and agnostic like millions of others. The first time I prayed, God changed my life supernaturally, immediately, you know?
So let me get this straight. You were atheist, I guess from birth, and then you prayed to God and he immediately changed your life like that. Like how? Maybe you'll get into it. I'm not sure. I mean, I'm just kind of curious, like how did God change your life when you prayed? How can you distinguish this immediate change in your life from, you know, your own psychological state of changing your life? Like how do you know that God did it and not just your own psyche? How do you distinguish those two? These are important questions. Also, you're still overgeneralizing things. You're overgeneralizing the entire atheist demographic. Just because you didn't search out God or anything like that doesn't mean that the entirety of the atheist demographic didn't search out for evidence for God. I mean, I know I did. I searched for evidence of God. I went looking for arguments for God, and they were all poor. None of them proved their conclusion. So I don't understand why you're overgeneralizing people, like an entire demographic. Apparently you are the quintessential atheist, or at least you were, until you prayed and were magically transformed. If you could do a video where you explain the difference between just your own psyche and God making that change, I would love to hear your explanation on how those things differ.
Jesus says if you knock, he'll open the door. Just knock. If you seek with all your heart, you'll find. If you ask, you will receive.
Okay, now he's just quoting like the Gospels, but here we'll actually do that. We'll do this real quick. Hold on. There we go. Everybody, we're gonna knock. God, can I come in, please? Oh, sorry, that was Casey. I thought God was knocking back like dipshit. I'm knocking. God's not opening any kind of door. Honey, do you see a door? It's closed and locked, just in case God barrels in. Oh, it's the attic door. Yes, the attic door is locked because we don't want the attic gremlins getting us. But I'm knocking, and as a Christian, I metaphorically knocked. As an atheist, I metaphorically knocked. But I gotta tell you, he didn't open any kind of doors. He didn't grant any kind of wishes. He didn't do any of that. It's just really weird to me that apparently all of my searching for good arguments for the existence of God, verifiable evidence that God exists, was all for naught because I didn't knock the appropriate knock. Let's see. Oh shit! Oh, that was KC again. She's real. God's not.
You genuinely didn't do all those things. I know you didn't. Stop lying because you love sinning. Your sins are delicious to you. You love it. I understand.
Yes, honey, this guy's really pretentious. He's got pretentious oozing out of his asshole. I would love for him to tell me exactly which sin I'm denying God for. Because as far as I can tell, the only sin that I've consistently committed is just not believing in God. The other quote-unquote sins or the other transgressions against God all seem to be very superfluous rules for how to live your life that are not necessarily bad. Now, I'm not talking about the obvious ones like don't steal shit from other people, although even that has a caveat to it, you know. Don't murder people, but again, that has a caveat to it. So, I mean, of all the quote-unquote transgressions against God, which is what sin is, the only one that I've consistently committed is just not believing in him, and that was after I went searching for him, only to find a lack of evidence of him. Is it my fault that there's no good evidence for God? Like, is that really on me? I don't think it is. I think that if God did really exist and he did create this universe and everything like that, I think that he would be easily detectable in some kind of way. If he actually had an effect on our reality, there would be some kind of effect that we could detect, and the best explanation would be God. Obviously, there are apologists out there that think that they have found this, and they come in the form of bullshit miracles that are not actually miracles. They are just easily and naturally explained, but they don't want to admit that for whatever fucking reason. This guy seems to think that it's bullshit to say that I've investigated whether or not God exists. And that I'm lying. That's another thing. He's claiming to know me better than I know myself, which is kind of a dipshit thing to do. And rude. Yes, thank you, honey. So, I mean, it's just... This kind of attitude really turns people off of religion and Jesus and Christianity, I guess, since that seems to be what you're pushing. It just, I don't know. I would say find a different tactic, because your tactic here sucks if you're looking to convert people to Jesus. What was that? Yes, honey, he is being a dick. A massive, thick chode. Why you gotta describe it like that, GE, in such graphic detail?
I used to be a fornicator. I used to use drugs and steal and do a lot of wicked things.
Oh my God, he used to fuck. Maybe he needs to get laid and he'll quit doing these kind of dipshit videos. I mean, if he was getting laid right now, he wouldn't be outside making this kind of video. I'm not saying getting laid, cures all your problems. In fact, I think that it could probably, make some things worse. But I mean, in this particular case, I don't think that, being a quote unquote fornicator is really all that bad. Yes, honey, he does sound like Handmaid's Tale encapsulated into a human being. He apparently stole shit, which, I mean, the stealing shit has some caveats, I will say. Because, I mean, obviously, you can steal something and it not be considered, like, immoral. There's a situation out there where it would be like that. I feel like he's being very generalizing in this video. Also, I don't care about your definition of sin or what you think is sin, because that's just a transgression against your God. I don't believe in your God, so therefore this sin isn't bad. I mean, not inherently. I think that there are certain areas where your concept of morality and my concept of morality overlap. But other than that, I don't care about your concept of morality. Fuck your concept of morality.
And, I wasn't looking for God. I didn't want to find him because I loved my sins.
Really? I feel like this is somebody who's now religious and is looking back upon their life as an atheist, I guess. That, like, if he says that he was an atheist at one time, I don't have any reason to doubt it. But the way that he talks here kind of makes me doubt it. I mean, I agree with you, honey. It does make me doubt that he was ever really an atheist, because it seems like it's one of two things here. The first thing was that he was an atheist, and now he's looking back on his life as an atheist through a Christian lens, this fundamentalist Christian type of lens, and he's viewing himself as not investigate or not wanting to find God, or loving his sin, as he would say. Basically what KC said was that this guy is using the same bad arguments as apologists about atheists, the same talking points, and I agree. But if I can get through my list here, he's looking back on his life as an atheist and judging it as a Christian apologist now. Or two, he was simply never an atheist. He's lying right now, and in order to try to convince somebody that either atheists just love their sin or that all atheists act like this. It's one of those two things that is driving this right here.
So, yeah, C.S. Lewis has many amazing quotes. Just Google some of his quotes. You could read 100 of them on Google, anywhere. Beautiful stuff, very educated. But some atheists will probably say, no, C.S. Lewis was a stupid retard. How do you listen to someone like C.S. Lewis?
No, I would never say that about anybody, mainly because I don't use that word as a pejorative. I actually think that that's rather infantile of you. Casey says that he's a piece of shit for saying that. I don't use that word as a pejorative. I mean, obviously he's trying to use it to mean stupid, but I don't see that word as meaning that. But that's just my own personal preference, I guess. Anyways, I wouldn't say that about anybody, especially a Christian apologist. Some Christian apologists out there definitely act that way, like stupid. I'm talking to them what he's trying to say, not what he literally said. Some of them act like that, but I don't think for the most part, most of them are. I don't necessarily agree with like the diploma mills out there and everything like that, but I do think that there are some genuinely smart Christian people out there. I mean, we both, Casey and I, work, in engineering. We're in the South, so we're constantly surrounded by very smart people that also believe in God. Those people often say very dumb things, but I don't think that them as a person, they are dumb. Like, that's never a thought. It really is crossed. Some of them, yes. Obviously, yes, we live in Alabama. Okay, obviously, some of these people, they're not the sharpest tools in the shed. What he's talking about here does not represent the vast majority of atheists, I would say. For C.S. Lewis, now I don't know much about C.S. Lewis, but I also would not just blatantly call him stupid just because he's a Christian. And it seems like if this guy ever was an atheist, he was one of those asshole atheists that I can't stand. The type of asshole that goes online and calls people stupid for believing in God. There are many smart Christians. I agree, honey. And I don't think that just because you believe in God, that means that you're stupid. Because at one time I believed in God, and I don't think that I was stupid at that time. I'm not saying I was the brightest motherfucker and I definitely wasn't the brightest crayon in the box. I don't think that I was the dimmest either. I would bet that most atheists also, at least those that grew up religious, don't consider themselves to be stupid in that way. I feel like you have to demonstrate that first. But I also think that a lot of religious people conflate the idea of an atheist labeling somebody as stupid with an atheist having a good reason to label somebody as stupid. S.J. Thomason, fucking stupid. But like William Lane Craig, I have to say that he's a pretty smart motherfucker. He's got bad arguments, and I think that maybe he's been doing this for so long that it's kind of rotted away whatever kind of idea or concept of logic that he had. But at the same time, it's hard for me to say that he's a dumb motherfucker or that he's in the way that this guy would describe him, stupid. I just simply wouldn't characterize him that way. He obviously appeals to a certain kind of crowd out there. While I think that his ideas are stupid, that his ideas are flawed, I wouldn't go as far as to use the ad hominem of calling him stupid. So this guy just seems like an asshole. I think that's what it really boils down to, is this guy's an asshole. Casey said that Megan from Digital Hammurabi is one of the smartest people that she knows. And I would agree. She is one of the smartest people that I know. And she's a Christian.
Obviously, cognitively impaired. Like, what? Really? You think C.S. Lewis is stupid? Have you read some of his books? You guys are crazy.
Wait, have you read his books? Now, I haven't read C.S. Lewis, but I mean, I have read the current arguments that are being pushed by the community. For instance, I don't expect him to read Hitchens or read any other atheist book out there, which I know this past week I complained about people always bringing up the 2010 atheists, but I really can't think of any authors that came up. Andrew Seidel, that's a good one. I don't expect this guy to read Andrew Seidel's The Founding Myth. Like, I don't expect him to have read that book or any other books. David G. McAfee, he's a really good author. I don't expect him to read David G. McAfee. I don't expect him to read, any atheist author talking about atheism. I don't expect that out of him. So I don't know why he would expect that out of atheists. Also, considering how he's presented himself in this video, I seriously doubt he's ever read C.S. Lewis beyond the quote memes that you see all over the internet. He might have read The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. I doubt that he sees the connection between Aslan and Jesus. I doubt that he's done a literary analysis. The Chronicles of Narnia are fantastic, but I doubt that he's done any of that kind of analytical research into the topic.
So please, if you're an atheist, stop running away from God. That doesn't mean he doesn't exist just because you run away from him, all right?
Now listen, if anybody knows me, I don't know if you could hear that. Maybe let me bring my mic down here. I don't run.
You do run.
My body does not give the indication that I run.
But you do.
I do run in place. If I'm running away from God, he should be easy to catch my ass. Right? Like, it should be an easy thing to catch my fat ass running, because I'm sitting here during the day like this, and I'm like reading a blog post or something, and I'm running. If only I had some kind of like video up behind me of like trees or like a running path, and be like, yeah, I'm running. But in any case, I'm just saying that, like, I'm not running away from God. And if I were to run away from God, it would be very easy for the most powerful, omniscient, omnipresent thing in the universe to catch my ass. Okay? I mean, metaphorically or in reality, it should be the easiest thing to catch me, regardless of how fast. God should be able to catch Usain Bolt. Okay? I'm just saying, like, you saying that we're running away from God and all this other shit. God knows exactly what kind of evidence would convince me that he exists. If he were to exist, he chooses not to provide that evidence. Instead, he doesn't provide any evidence at all, and he relies on Christian apologists, in this particular case, religious apologists in general, to make the case for him. And it's a really poor case. Like, it only convinces people, in my opinion, it only convinces people that can easily accept those arguments as evidence for God. Those that require maybe a little bit more evidence or are a little bit harder to convince, God's just like fucking vanished. He doesn't care about those people.
Stop running away. Seek with all your heart. Knock and he'll open the door. Ask and you will receive. He loves you.
Now, if I recall, first of all, a little bit of a trigger warning here, just in case you're easily triggered by things or you've got some kind of trauma in your past, just to warn you. In the HBO documentary called Maxima Mea Culpa. I'm sorry, I can't remember the exact title. In that, there's a priest talking about how a young boy would pray to God to make the priest stop raping him as the priest was raping him.
I went to bed one night, and before I fell asleep, I could see Murphy creeping into our room like a ravenous wolf. I could see him sit on a bed in the dim light of the illuminated exit sign, and I saw that he was molesting a boy. I imagined Jesus crying on the cross with a broken heart, wondering why Murphy was doing this. Why was Jesus just watching?
This was a child that completely believed in God, wholeheartedly believed in God. Yeah, I hate them too. I don't hate many people, but I hate the Catholic Church as an organization too, and the people that continue the abuse. But that right there, the fact that a child that completely and wholly believes in God, this God knocked. This child asked. God did not answer. So you can't sit there and tell me that knock and the door shall be opened, ask and you will be answered. Because if that is the case, if God answered that small child, that means that God looked upon that situation, saw that priest graping that child in whatever kind of room he was in, and said, no, I will not help you. I will let this person violate you and destroy your life. I will allow this to happen. I know God works in mysterious ways, baby, but at the same time, this is not a mysterious way. This is not helping. This is God watching the violation of a small child. How can you sit there and tell me, knock and the door shall be open, ask and you shall be answered? How can you tell me this when these things are happening? Of course, people like this will just say, oh, it's free will. God allows them. I'm sorry, but it's not a violation of free will for God or Jesus or the Holy Spirit in whatever kind of form that motherfucker takes to pop in, punch the priest in the face, and then pop out. And then anytime the priest even thinks about doing that again, God pops in the picture in whatever kind of form, punches him in the face again. This isn't affecting free will. This is providing the kind of judgment that God supposedly provides. This is not preventing somebody from making a free will choice. It's like, hey, you can think about this if you want to, but guess what? I'm going to punch you in the face every single fucking time and then pop back out of existence. God could literally do that if he's omniscient, if he's omnibenevolent, and if he's omnipresent. If he's all those things, he could definitely do. This is not out of the wheelhouse of God. So don't sit there and tell me this line from a gospel where Jesus was providing, 2 loaves or 2 fish and 5 loaves or whatever in the fuck he was providing in order to feed people. Don't tell me this shit when it's provably wrong.
Just ask. You'll receive. He'll give it to you if you genuinely ask. That's all you got to do. It's that simple. Christianity is not hard. I mean, it is kind of hard when you're living in this wicked world. Temptations everywhere. But just, don't wait. You could die today. 150,000 people die every day. And you could be next in line. We're all going to die. And there's a heaven, there's a hell. Please choose Jesus, not Satan. Stop choosing your own sins. I say this out of love. I was in your shoes before. I was transformed only 2 years ago. Guys, I'm still learning. I'm still being sanctified.
Really? You're still learning? I think you need to learn a little bit more. You need to learn humility. You need to learn how not to be a dick. You need to learn how to communicate with people. I'm sorry, but if you go anywhere trying to convince people of this and you treat people like the way you do, you're just not going to convince. Like, I would really hate to see you as a salesman trying to sell like an Android product or an Apple product. It's like, oh yeah, you don't want an Apple product? Well, that just means you want to sin and suck off Google. Yep, that's what it means. I used to be just like you. I owned an Android device for 3 years, and then I finally sucked off Apple, and lo and behold, I'm not sinning no more and using an Android device. Like, what in the fuck, dude? You don't know how to communicate your message. I'm not saying that I'm perfect at communicating my message, but the only message I'm looking to send is that you're a dick.
Slowly but surely. All right. Thank you guys for listening. I love you guys. I'm going to enjoy this beautiful day. Today is Sunday. I'm going to the beach. All right. Bye-bye.
Shouldn't you be in church? Why are you going to, I kind of feel like, that's a little bit of work. Technically, as far as physics goes, work is defined as like expending energy. So, if you're expending energy to pick your ass up and go to the beach and have a good time, and then picking your ass back up and moving it back to your house, that kind of seems like you're doing work right there. That's right, Catholic Mass is a lot of aerobics, but they're doing it to praise God. I don't know what kind of thing he's praising down at the beach. So that's going to be it for our show tonight. I hope that you guys enjoyed it. If you will, please leave me a like and leave me a comment down below. It would really help us out here. But I'd also love to hear what you guys think about this guy tonight. Do you think that he had some good points, or do you think that he's a bit crazy? Let me know if you guys think that he was never an atheist and that he is looking at atheism through some kind of weird Christian lens. Let me know what you think about this video tonight. I'd really love to hear it. But in any case, definitely leave all that down below. Leave a like and subscribe if you like this kind of content. Don't forget to stand up and use your voice.